Back, baby. Large Blast Podcast. Stoney here, coming back at you with another episode of the Large Blast Podcast. And I'm joined as always by Matt.
Hello.
And Welshie.
I'm Pims Deep, baby.
Pims Deep Welshie. And we like to kick things off with a very original idea we've had called Hobbies Goings On, where we take a look at some of the goings on that have been happening in the hosts' lives. And it's been a little while since our last episode, so I'm hoping there's going to be loads of goings on. Welshie, how much goings on have you been going on?
Oh, mate, I've had so much goings on. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
You'll have noticed, previous listeners, I've been getting a little bit depressed about the game. Too much bloat, too much going on. It's not 7th edition. That's what I'm feeling. That's the basic summary. But so what I've done, I've stopped painting my own models and I've started doing commissions for friends that want to get into the game. So
nice.
I'm currently painting a Tempestus, Militarum Tempestus Science starter box for one of my friends who has, let's give him a shout out. His name's Mr. Mahoney, and him and Mr. Harvey have started a Warhammer club at the school they work at. They're both teachers. They've started a Warhammer 40k club.
Of course, they do owe us both 20 quid for those shout outs.
That's
we'll
it.
discuss that
for sure.
afterwards.
Yeah, we'll sort that out. The local games workshop send them loads of stuff. They've been painting it up. They're getting the kids on board. It sounds great. So I'm painting my friend a little Tempestus Scions kill team. Yeah. That's what I've been up to.
I mean, this is adorable and very wholesome, but at the same time, it is a bit like the drug dealer that gives that first rock a crack away for free.
Yeah.
Do you know
it is the crack rock. It's the initial crack rock.
You're damning them to a lifetime of nerdery, and I'm behind it.
Yeah,
well, that's really cool. So spreading the love, and that's kind of reinvigorated your love for the hobby.
Yeah, for sure. They've got into kill team, so that's their kind of pusher drug, their starter drug.
Cool. Well, Matt, what have you been up to since last we spoke?
Really, not a lot. I can't even think. I mean, there's been many days where no paintbrush has gone into the paint or the water pot. But I have started to make the Celestin Sacrosancts or whatever they're called, the cool little close combat sisters.
Yeah,
started to put some of them together.
Are they the ones with the ironing boards? Yeah, the ironing board shields.
Yeah, ironing board shields and the long hellbards.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, just you go through phases, and I'm definitely just not in a Warhammer phase at the moment.
Yeah, you go in and out. I've definitely been finding in and out.
Yeah.
It's the sunshine. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I'm struggling to get into it, go out, have some beers. It'll be fine in the winter. You'll get back into it. Don't worry about it. Don't let it get to you.
It's the news. Wow. It's the chuffing news.
Have you heard? 6s are now 4s.
It's the news.
Chief Stealer Limo's back.
News. Necromunda squats. They're a bit different from the stuff we've seen from League of Voltan. They're still called squats, and they've got some rules come out and some new models. So what do you guys reckon to these?
Banging.
Yeah, I like them.
So I don't know, they're odd, but they've got some rules and how are they looking, how their guns looking, how they look, they might perform in combat.
It's a weird profile. It's different. I don't think there's anything like, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, if you think there's anything like this, but 3-up weapon skill, 3-up ballistic skill, strength 3, toughness 4. I can't think of anything with that basic profile that's toughness 4, strength 3. I know the new orcs are strength 4, toughness 5, but that's kind of weird. It's kind of like a new niche in the numbers.
Yeah, it's like a souped up human.
Yeah,
but not quite a space marine. I think that's
movement 4 is going to be interesting.
Oh shit!
That transfers across to 40k because
that's
everything is about holding objectives. But we should say that these are Necromunda rules, so they're not going to transfer it exactly to 40k. Who knows if these Necromunda squats are even going to be available in 40k?
The League of Voltan are a little way off yet, so these rules might change here and there when they. Everyone knows they come out super overpowered, so everybody buys the fuck out of them, and then bam, they get nerfed somewhere down the line. All right, everybody, hold on to your fucking hats because it's been teased for a while and it's finally here. The big announcement for Warhammer 40,000 paint section, and it is new contrast paint, new colours. Is that it? Is it new colours of contrast paints?
That's basically it.
And a spray paint.
And a spray paint.
A contrast spray paint?
No, just a white spray paint.
Matt, you'll remember by about 4...
White spray paint?
That's bucking.
They were hyping white spray paint. That's bullshit.
Spray paint. Matthew, you'll
It's
remember.
whiter than white.
You'll
it doesn't
remember
flake.
About 4 p.m. in the afternoon, we were on the first day of Warhammer Fest, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
We'd had a few beers, to say the least, and we were really excited because there was this big paint reveal coming at Warhammer Fest, wasn't there?
Yeah, we went to the lecture.
Exactly. We went to this special
Paint lecture.
super secret
it was
paint
great.
lecture. It was so good.
Really great. The two guys with the white coats.
Yeah.
Presenting, I'm the boss of paint, and I'm going to
Mr.
present you paint.
Mr. Paint. And we sat there, and they revealed contrast paints, which was, to be honest,
it was amazing.
Revolutionary.
It was really good.
And I've used them. I think I've painted a model since then that doesn't include at least some contrast
I use them all
paints.
the time.
It was just some extra contrast paints.
Although shades are back.
Yeah, really good range of slightly off balance washes.
Well,
I'm really looking forward to those. Actually,
I'm actually quite excited about this. Although it was a very big hype for a very, very little reward.
I mean, all hating aside, you know, how exciting can you make a paint announcement? And I mean, they maybe over egged the pudding a little bit, but some of these colors are pretty cool, and some of these shades are also pretty cool. It's just going to be one of those things where these just start appearing on shelves, and then like in a year's time, you might pick one up even by accident without even remembering it was part of this paint release. Because let's face it, it's a fucking paint release. Like, how much does it really understand how it Sure. All right, well, it's finally happened. Games Workshop and Forge World have come together, and you are going to start to be able to buy some Forge World models on the Warhammer website. That's right, with their new Horus Heresy miniature board game release. They're also this is the first time you're also going to have access to the full range of Primarchs, all the ones that we know about anyway. So, Welshie, what's this all about?
This blew my mind, if I'm honest, because I mean, we've been collecting between us Warhammer for at least a decade, right? From Games Workshop, and Forge World has always been a distinct entity. And we've even done an episode on the history of Forge World and how it relates to old school resin casting before that. And this is the first time that a release has come out. And if you're just someone that's interested in Warhammer via Games Workshop and you've never heard of Forge World, you could log into your Games Workshop account and buy a resin Forge World model. It's pretty crazy. And that includes all of the Primarchs is a kind of hype for buying the Horus Heresy box set. So, but do you think also that what's going to happen to Forge World? Is Forge World just going to get eaten up by Games Workshop, do you reckon, at this stage? Like,
no.
I mean, it's interesting.
It's an interesting question.
The Primarchs were their like kind of centerpiece of the stuff they saw. I mean, maybe the Titans, I guess, actually, but like the Primarchs are definitely in there as some centerpieces of the kind of Forge World range. And if you can buy them from the Games Workshop website, then, you know, what's happening? Well, do you think that's got like something, a tiny little bit to do with 3D printing? Because obviously when you 3D print these snazzy models, most of the time you're doing it in resin. So like Games Workshop need to be kind of better than that way to kind of compete with it. So if they're doing plastic models, which everybody prefers putting together and handling rather than fucking around with resin, then that, you know, keeps them ahead of the game. So maybe that's a reason why they're trying to get rid of it.
I disagree. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. I think there's so much other stuff than the Horus Heresy that Forge World do and have done in the past. Their ranges come and go, and I think if anything, it could be that they're moving something away from Forge World because Forge World have got some other stuff in the pipeline. You know, beyond the Titans, there's all the Imperial armor tanks and stuff. I think there's stuff in there that actually helps Games Workshop to compete with companies that sell conversion kits online that you can buy to
the
go
new Dark
with.
Angels kit, for instance, you know, dropping in there released this week. Really fucking cool. Really.
So I think in a way, hopefully they've got more stuff in the pipeline. I wouldn't want to see it go. I think it offers like a nice alternative to the box standard basic kits.
I think it has a place outside of Horus Heresy. We always talk about the resin Forge World as the Horus Heresy output, but actually, if we were to filter down what we've loved in the past 3 years of doing this podcast into Necromunda, I don't think they've put a foot wrong on literally any Necromunda model since they started the reboot of Necromunda. And that is insane. I mean, if you like the guy with the big head, check out Model Spotlight whenever we get round to it. But Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they've dropped some bangers.
Yeah.
They have dropped some bangers, it's true. But it's just the resin thing that maybe they're going to try to move away from.
And the new plastic Contemptors, the plastic Spartan, the plastic Kratos, man, I want every one of those models. I sat here, you'll be listening to this, I'm sure. If you're listening to our podcast, you will know this pain, that you're sat there, it's Sunday night, the pre-orders have gone up. You're on, not Warhammer, not on Games Workshop because it costs fucking loads. You're on Goblin Gaming. You're on Wayland Games. Here's some free advertising for you guys. You're looking at all the places that give you 20% off, and you've loaded up that Horus Heresy starter set, and you're going, that's a lot of plastic for 120 quid. I could get it. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But I could get it because I want it so much. I want that plastic crack so bad. And Games Workshop must know that, and they must know that resin is dead. Resin is dead. You heard it here first.
Necromunda Ash Wastes coming through again with some spicy new rules that basically means you can bring in 40k vehicles into the Ash Wastes. And they've used some of Gene Stealer vehicles as an example, and long-time listeners will know what that means. Fucking Gene Stealer Cult Limo, baby. It's just around the corner. You mark my words. You all thought I was mad when I predicted it. That's whenever we predict things, but it's coming. It's a fucking coming, I tells you.
This is interesting. So it seems like the new Ash Race expansion has kind of given you almost free reign to design the vehicles that you're interested in and kind of give them the stats that they deserve for the model that you're playing on the board. And I think that's kind of fun.
But this is kind of crazy. So this is like, it's funny, we've talked about Gorka Morka in the past, this like vehicle combat. And it feels like
Really
there's definitely going to be a big element of that, this kind of Mad Max style slinging around the board on these buggies and stuff, like crashing into each other and shit, having races and things, hijacking water trucks, hijacking that crap truck thing that they released. You know, it's going to be cool. So balancing fixes, command points have been changed. What's going on?
Big. I think this is a really big I think this is one of the boldest changes that we've seen. On a Strike Force game, normally you're starting with 12 CP. Am I right in that? Before you start spending it on stuff?
Yeah. 12 is, yeah.
And then you buy a few extra relics. So maybe you're starting the game and a few extra warlord traits. Maybe you're starting the game on 9 CP. But this is pre-game, your command points have halved. And that is going to really change the way people play 40k competitively. And what is also going to change the way you play competitively is essentially because you get +1 command point in your command phase, so the start of your turn, and +1 command point in your opponent's phase, which is the start of their turn. You're getting 2 per turn instead of 1 per turn. So you're starting with half the amount and you're getting double the amount per turn.
Well, yeah, that's got to be better, right? Because it's like people play the command points rather than the game eventually, right? When you've got these kind of crazy rules that you can use. And it's cool to have chapter specific stuff that keeps all the flavor in the game. But, you know,
I think there's more to it than this, though, because
I thought you would as an AdMech player.
No. There's more rule changes than just this. You have to spend command points to even give yourself a warlord trait and stuff.
Right.
It's going to change so much in the competitive game.
I think it does. It doesn't change which units are better than others, but it does change how you stack points on the days of having a chaplain that you've
on
stacked
a bike,
every command point on a bike on that runs in and does 26 wounds on a Bane Blade are kind of over.
Rolling in my 6-4.
All right, well, welcome, truth seekers, to the conspiracy part of the show where we're going to revisit some Warhammer conspiracies. So I've made this conspiracy radio where we can tune in and find out some hot info from around the world. Are you guys ready?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we are accepting calls this hour from time travelers only. If you have traveled in time, or you are presently a traveler to this time, then we want to hear from you. Otherwise, the phone lines are closed, but for that group, they are certainly open. With that in mind, top of the morning to you on the wildcard line. You are on the air.
Hello? Hello? Can anybody hear me? It's Stoney here, calling from the year 40,000.
You must have arrived here and done your time traveling not mentally, but through some type of actual machine.
Look, don't call me mental, all right? What happened was I was playing a game of Warhammer and I rolled 6 6s on an armor saving whilst lightning hit the house in a big thunderstorm and I got blasted into the year 40,000. But forget about that right now, so I bring grave news.
Then we want to hear from you.
There's a 5th ruinous power, a 5th chaos god, Malice. The god of chaos undivided, the god of rebellion, the god of riot. The riotous beast that burns in the heart of every Imperium citizen that's ever fought. You know what? Fuck the Empire. So there you go. That's our first, but there's a 5th chaos god, the god of undivided, Malice or Malak, or something like that. And he's basically the god of rebellion and riot. So if you're out there and you're getting, the minute you're kind of like, fuck the Empire, fuck the Imperium, then you're kind of falling to him a little bit. And he's not really like Nurgle or anything where he gives you like gifts specifically. He just helps you in your fight against a kind of common foe, if you see what I mean.
Matt, I feel like we've been chatting this shit for fucking years, to be honest, on the LBP. I want to put that out there. I've been saying that the Emperor is the god of war.
Well, yeah. I mean, Malice is depicted as a kind of a beast, a kind of a wolf man. He's kind of the anti-Emperor in a way. Like, obviously, he likes all the war and all of that. But he's if all the Chaos gods are somehow represent some sort of human emotion, then I guess that Malice is just kind of like being a contrarian in a way. He doesn't want to be a part of the Emperor. He's like, yeah, fuck you. Like, I don't want to become a servo skull or whatever. Like, that kind of thinking is the way that people fall to Malice, the god of chaos undivided. And what I thought was quite kind of cool about him is, like, in a way, he kind of embodies a lot of the sort of the attitudes that the fallen Primarchs, the ones that didn't specifically choose a god. We mentioned, he is quite like it's quite like a Perturabo sensibility or whatever, to just be like, I don't really care about
any of this. Fuck you, I'm gone.
But that's it. But just feeling that is enough to fall to Malice.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. I've never heard of it before. I think that sounds like a pretty good theory, and it explains so much as well. Like you say, the Primarchs that didn't fall specifically for a god actually have fallen for a god. We just don't know up until this date what the god was. I mean,
Malice also has some chops in like Games Workshop franchises as well, because he's actually mentioned in Battlefleet Gothic. He's mentioned in Battlefleet Gothic. Right. You have to fight some of his followers. So he's actually got some precedent in the lore, but he's not recognized by the Inquisition or anything like that, really, the followers of him. So
it's the Inquisition we know about. I bet there's a whole 17 subsectors of the Inquisition that are all about Malice.
Or maybe like the Inquisition don't openly admit it, because every Inquisitor that's fallen to Malice, being a bit like, fuck the man, fuck this, I'm not turning up to my Inquisition desk job at 9 a.m. I'm going to take the red pill and I'm going to go into another dimension. Fuck everything. So everyone that's ever investigated Malice has just ended up being like, fuck this, quit my job. I'm going to buy a yacht and sail around the globe.
Fuck this philosophy.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is I don't think it's like I don't think malice makes you groovy. I don't think you like research him and you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to buy a yacht and just like cruise around drinking drinks out of half coconuts with umbrellas in them. I think you're like, oh, I'm going to research this and then I'm going to start wearing chains and oh, what's this? I'm going to wear like dark makeup and.
It's not my fault. It's
The new show on TV.
Some thought we shouldn't broadcast this interview because his baseless allegations aren't just offensive, they're dangerous. But here's the thing. Over the years, his YouTube channel has racked up 1.3 views. He has 1.3 listeners. He has spent nearly 2 decades on the fringe, shouting his conspiracy theories into any microphone he could get in front of. Here he is on Austin Community Television in 2001.
Horus killing the Emperor was a false flag operation conducted by those that knew it was Sanguinius that killed Horus first and then the Emperor in a fit of the Black Rage.
His rants can be vulgar and hate-filled, like this one directed at a member of Congress.
Well, with all due respect, Mr. Member of Congress, my bull bag if you don't believe that it was Sanguinius that killed the Emperor in a fit of black rage. That's why the Emperor hesitated. You think that the Emperor can't beat Horus? Don't make me laugh.
The whole thing is a giant hoax. The whole thing was fake.
They already done lied to us when they told us that the Mechanicus come from Mars, and we all know that Mars is just a cardboard cutout stuck on the sky. Sanguinius was all hopped up on the Black Rage after killing Cabanda, and probably playing violent computer games as well. So wise up, people, and come visit my website, www.sanguiniusthetruth.com.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Deep cut.
shit.
Deep cut.
This is an interesting one, I reckon. Anyway, this is the conspiracy theory that basically what happened to the Emperor and that whole jazz was Sanguinius, after killing Cabanda, comes up, meets up with Horus in a fit of the Black Rage, which triggers the Black Rage for all of the Blood Angels, has a big old fight with Horus, kills Horus. The Emperor shows up and is like, oh, Sanguinius, well done. Turns round, has a bit. Sanguinius is so much in the rage, he fatally wounds the Emperor as well. And the Emperor has to then kill Sanguinius.
This is excellent. This is
heresy.
excellent.
That's what this is.
This is yeah.
I'm not part of this.
I'm completely sold on this. This is brilliant.
Well, it all kind of syncs up with some of the other things we've discussed about the fight at the end there as well, because there's like a third person, there's a guy that comes in at the end as well, like
the
a
unknown warrior, I believe they refer to him as.
This is brilliant. I really hope that the Black Library write this in to their big reveal.
It would
when
be
they write
seismic,
this.
wouldn't it? It would be utterly
it'd be massive.
seismic.
But it also wouldn't change too much, because Sanguinius is kind of in a way is innocent because he's taken over by the Black Rage. So it's not like the Blood Angels have done. You know, they're not like traitors. They're not like traitor Marines. It's definitely bigger and better than Alfarius being the unknown warrior who saves the Emperor. I think this would be way bigger. It'd be fucking excellent. the angel kills the god.
And I mean, it's not even like Horus is invincible, because he actually loses a couple of fights during his time during the Horus heresy. From what I've heard, I think he loses to Angron at some stage. And you feel like the Emperor, come on, he could beat Horus, sure.
Well, he does beat Horus in the end. I mean, let's be honest.
Does he?
Well, he doesn't know.
That's what we're saying. We're saying, does he? Or does he come in and find Sanguinius standing over Horus, go to give him a pat on the back? Sanguinius gives him the old stabby in the guts.
I've never heard of this conspiracy theory before, but I'm completely sold.
This, I think.
You know, and I just came into my mind, like, you know how police dog units have like a safe word that the dog stops attacking someone if they say no, it like starts attacking someone if you say the code word.
Drop the word.
Like, if you were the Emperor, you know, your genetic genius, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you
create like create a safe word to make the Primarchs kind of shut down. But that would explain why the Emperor does get mortally wounded. Because I think that would be because he's got his back turned Sanguinius and he gets like taken out while he wasn't expecting it. Doesn't get enough time to deploy the code word.
I think it's really interesting because
I'm sold.
But all we know is the story that we know, right? And then we don't actually know what's going to happen at the end, and it's going to be they've got to pull something out, right? Because they can't just be like, oh, and the end was the end that you've known about for fucking ages, can they? You know, otherwise everyone's just going to be like, oh, right.
Something's happening in that fucking throne room when Dan Abnett writes that final scene at the end of the Siege of Terror, at the end of the Horus Heresy.
I think it's going to be Sanguinius. You know, in his rage, he's going to fucking stab the Emperor. They're going to make eye contact. Little tear runs down his eyes and he's like, oh, father. And then he blasts him with a fucking psychic lance or some shit.
Can we just sum this up? So the conspiracy theory is Sanguinius beats Kabanda, lands, beats Horus, turns around in a fit of black rage, stabs and kills the Emperor, and the Emperor kills Sanguinius in his last moments of psychic power and just wipes everything out.
Because he realizes that Sanguinius has fallen to the black rage, so he blasts him.
So if that is the end of the Dan Abnett novel, then we need what? Money?
I know that we're asking you for money after we're giving away the ending that you've probably spent so long trying to hide, but you know, whatever. This is what's going to happen. Mark our goddamn words.
Good conspiracy. I'm on board.
More importantly, Mars is a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, well, let's get on to that. That's the whole nother fucking angle of this shit.
I've heard it's a hologram.
Base. We're bringing it back, sports fans. That's right. Warhammer Wrestling is coming back as a segment. Long-time listeners might remember it from the past, but now it's back as segments in the show. And today we've got a very special matchup indeed.
In the red corner, we have the Prince of the Darkness. We're talking Shrike.
And in the blue corner, he was the leader of the best Space Marine chapter, greatest Space Marine Legion, but then he got replaced by his father that came back alive, and now he's second best and pretty useless, but he's still got two big fists. It's Calgar!
Doom. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Calgar versus Shrike. It's the battle
every fucking minute. I'm not going to back down. You guys have to come at me if you think Calgar's got it.
Calgar is Terminator army. He's in Terminator
Don't
armor.
give a shit.
It's going to be pretty good defense against lightning claws.
Shrike can fly. Can Calgar fly? Can he fly?
Calgar doesn't need to fly.
Can we just check? Can Calgar fly? No, I don't think he can.
Why do you need to fly in a fist fight?
Because why wouldn't you want to fly? If you could fly, you'd fly. No, he's dead. He's dead by this point. There's a fucking lightning claw in his neck. I don't give a fuck how big his fists are. He's dead.
Here's the thing about Calgar. You know, what you forget is that when you've got really big hands like that, you've got to have massive pockets as well. People forget that about him. And that means that he's got about a ton of builder's grit in there as pocket sand. Shrike is zipping around in the shadows, zipping in and out, coming in and out behind him, right?
Yeah.
But bam, he's not expecting
sand in his face. Oh, no.
Exactly. It's the classic wrestling move.
Oh, no.
I do also think that Shrike would be he's going to be one of those dippy divey wrestlers that he does the Hurricane Rana off the top rope, some of that kind of shit.
Let me give you a sweet response, a sweet repose to the fucking sand in the face. If anybody in any of the Space Marine Legions is going to be wearing actual beaky armor, it's Shrike, right?
I see. So the
sand's going nowhere near his eyes. He's wearing a full-on big
streamlined. It is the natural enemy.
You take up that fucking sand, and you're fucked. If that's your one move, you're out of there.
I've got the swayed vote here, and I've got to go with Shrike then. If he can deal with the pocket sand, then I think it's 2 for Shrike for 1 Calgar.
You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
You look up and see Stoney from the Large Blast podcast dropping truth bombs from up high, because it's the Warhammer conspiracy section. Many empires have grown and crumbled to dust in the 40k universe. Some are puffed out in a blink of an eye, like they left no mark at all, whereas the deeds of others can still be seen in action to this day. One such empire is the Old Ones, creators of both the Orcs and the Eldar. Some see them as a dead race, exiled from our galaxy as we know it. But there are those that think they've been spending this time plotting, lurking, waiting to retake what was once theirs. And what better way to retake a galaxy than to use the ultimate bioweapon, the Tyranids. That's right, there are some that believe the Old Ones created the Tyranids and have set them on our galaxy to tear it clean and make way for their return.
He was obsolete. But so is the state, the entity he worshipped. Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man, that state is obsolete. A case to be filed under M for mankind.
Okay, so this is the theory that the Old Ones created the Tyranids, have been sending them into our galaxy as a revenge and to try to wipe it clean so that they can get back in there and fucking reclaim that shit.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. I mean, I still think it's the Emperor.
No, I don't think the Emperor's brought the Tyranids in.
I think the Emperor is by accident because of his like floodlit what's it called?
You're
the psychic beacon.
But there is this big question mark over where the Tyranids come from, because they're they come in on these big tentacles, don't they? So they're kind of like attached.
I think it's really exciting. I've always thought this with the Tyranids. It's really exciting to think that there's something driving them. What are the Tyranids running away from? It's far more exciting than why are the Tyranids in there? That's the thing. But
how much truth do you think there is to this conspiracy then, that there could be the Old Ones that have kind of directing them into our galaxy? Because I thought what was quite cool about this one is, like, if they are being used as that, they're really good at it, because as soon as they kind of run out of things to eat, they just die, right? There's nothing for them to, they'll just like wither and die where they've run out of biomass, right? So if you like send them all in and they eat everything until there's nothing left to eat and then they all die, then they leave the whole place empty for the Old Ones to swoop back in, right? Start again. Yeah. You've done a blank sweep. Blank sweep.
I mean, if it is a real, if this is the truth, then I hope the Old Ones have got some secure hiding place to hide away from, and or the Tyranids will wipe out and eat the galaxy, and then they'll eat them if they know where they are.
It's the classic alien movie trope where they go in and they try to use something as a weapon and it ends up turning on them.
I want to know what this force pushing them forward is, and I think that's really important for the game.
Don't want them to Prometheus it though and make it all complicated and weird.
I don't want it to, I guess what I'm saying is I don't want it to just turn out to be that the Old Ones created the Tyranids. I want there to be some crazy new race.
And to be honest, it's way cooler to not know what they're running from.
I agree. I'd rather just stay like that forever. They're running from something terrifying, and if they're terrified, we're all fucked.
Good evening, you're on the air.
Well, hi now, listen, Bill Cooper, if that really is you and not some kind of government spy. I've been thinking an awful lot about the Alpha Legion, you know, them Alpha and Omegas boys, or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
But before I gets into it, I need to make sure this is the real Bill Cooper I'm talking to, the grandfather of all conspiracy theorists.
Yep, I have not filed an income tax return since about 1986, I think. 85 or 86.
Well, that's good enough for me then, Bill. Let me tell you about this here theory I've got, which is that Alfarius, he joined Chaos in order to save the mankind, because he knew that the only way that Chaos could cease to exist was if mankind burned itself out.
Yeah.
But that Omegon, he's cleverer than that. He never moved to the Eye of Terror. They never became demonized or anything like that.
Personally, I don't think they have any balls.
Oh, come on now, I think you're being a bit hard on them. Sure, Alfarius fucked up, but Omegon's making it good by taking them down from the inside.
Now, let me ask you something else. Why do you file and pay your income tax?
Well, that's just it, Bill. I'm like Omegon. I pay them in pennies. It costs them more to count them than it does for me to give them to them. But that's kind of what I'm saying. Omegon's paying in pennies. Don't you see? And maybe the Emperor knew that all the time. You need a slick super soldier. You know what I mean, Bill?
I'm right here. I'm available.
Cool. So this is the theory that Alfarius joined Chaos because he knew that the only way for Chaos to burn itself out was to consume all of mankind. But he died and left Omegon in charge. And since then, Omegon's basically just been running kind of shady operations, if you will, to take down Chaos from the inside.
For me, this is the real, genuine Dan Abnett question of the Horus Heresy is where actually are the Alpha Legion? If 51% of the Alpha Legion are on the good side, then that really sways the balance to the good side.
Well, I was wondering, if you were a part of the Alpha Legion, would you really know if you were fallen to Chaos or not? Do you know what I mean? Like, how much do they actually tell you? Because you're just a shady bastard, right?
Just doing your job, just doing a sneaky, shadowy job.
Yeah, and as long as you're out there you're just out there being sneaky or shadowy, you might not even really realize.
I think almost like half of the people that turned against the Emperor was probably the same thing. Like all the crews of the spaceships didn't know whose side they were fighting on. They were just doing the job until they started growing tentacles out their testicles. Sure. I'm well on board with this theory. Like, this makes it really interesting. Although I'd go a bit further and say I don't actually think the Alpha Legion's real.
I've read all the Primarch books at this point, and I genuinely think the Alpha Legion one is the best one. It's the most interesting. It's got humor. It's the whole book is based on the concept of that Alfarius is the first Primarch, and he turns up, and no one knows who he is, and that's fine. And he just does all of the first Primarch shit. And if anyone's going to put money on a fucking faction that's going to switch at the last minute in the throne room, it's got to be Alfarius, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, what makes it interesting as well is there's two of them. It's not just Alfarius as well.
I mean, it's
got
great.
A brother, so so I mean, you could have this kind of Jekyll and Hyde thing going on where one of them switched over and the other one stayed the same. But,
yeah, for sure.
What if they are both the missing Primarchs and actually Alfarius is dead?
Yeah, and then the original Alpha Legion guy was a really annoying guy who talked about snakes all the time and stuff. So they got rid of him and like Reptilio or whatever his name was, and put in the two missing ones to do his job.
I think I've read about a theory that people have that there's three of them because of the logo of the Alpha Legion has got is it the three-headed snake?
Oh, the three-headed snake. My goodness, there's a secret third one.
Bum, bum, bum.
I've mentioned Basket Case on the show before, but there's got to be a Basket Case brother in there somewhere, a little one they're keeping with like little stunted arms and legs.
Shit! Maybe that's the one that saves the Emperor. The third one.
The Chucky of the Free. Okay, so, well, what do we think about this conspiracy then? Do we reckon that... the Alpha Legion are loyal deep down inside?
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'm all aboard.
Another kind of...
I'm going to be real fucking sneaky here, and I'm going to say yes, they're loyal to the Eldar.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Third angle.
That is what the Cabal is. The Cabal is... They essentially come under the command of the Eldar, and the Eldar say, if you want to survive, this is what you need to do. That is what Alfarius comes under, and then he gets fucking chainsawed to death on the wall in front of Dawn, if you believe the hype.
Well, you know what? That actually kind of goes quite nicely with our very first conspiracy theory about the fifth god, the god of rebellion, the god of malice. Because just the fact that they did something so heretical meant that they kind of fell to chaos kind of by accident. So maybe that kind of goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah.
So So welcome back, everybody, to this part of the show. You know the drill. It's the random topic generator where we use the company dice, which Welshie keeps under lock and key in an airtight sealed container.
Fucking got it, guys.
So we use that to determine a topic at random from a 1 to 6 style chart that we have.
It's a 4! And a 4 is, why do we think the 2 forgotten Primarchs were fucking forgotten about?
Well, this is a big question, isn't it? I mean, they're sort of alluded to at times, right? Like,
So many
wasn't
times.
Lehman Russ supposed to have killed them or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the things we know for sure are this. The Space Wolves killed at least one of them. The Emperor wasn't happy with how they turned out. That's all we can be sure of from all of the various many novels of Horus Heresy. That's it. That's all we know.
There's a group of very misunderstood people out there, the Juggalos. So maybe,
yeah,
you know, they met them and they were Juggalos or something along those lines. Or like, but you know, because I mean, they're misunderstood. They're misunderstood people. But you know, maybe they're just really shit. They just like only enjoyed listening to Phil Collins. They were like a drag.
Beige trousers.
Yeah, they're just the beige Marines. You just show up.
Beige Marines.
Another theory I have about them is that they that actually they haven't been found. And the Space Wolves thing is just propaganda to make them scared, to make everyone scared of doing something wrong. But actually, Lehman Russ hasn't killed another Primarch, and the Space Wolves haven't actually taken them out. But actually, they just haven't found them yet. It's all a lie.
I mean, let's delve into that then. There is no 2 other legions. They never existed and they never will. They're just pretend.
Yeah.
What
just
does that
to
mean?
The sands of time. Maybe they just didn't. Maybe they really did. Like, I know some of these guys got like a shit start, but there's a lot of shitty planets out there. Maybe one of them just plopped into a pool of fucking acid and just got eaten up.
Yeah.
You know? If you're gonna blast them all off into space, then you've actually got a pretty high survival rate for what he did manage.
They spent 10,000 years like mutating one fucking amino acid at a time towards a protein that can actually survive the amino acid pool. You know, it might be out there.
Yeah. He's like a jellyfish man for acid.
Or one of them, like when Chaos threw them all across the warp, maybe one of them ended up in another galaxy, and that's what the Tyranids are running away from. Or maybe he turned into a Tyranid, and actually the Tyranids are the one of the lost legions.
He kind of Akira'd into a Tyranid, all his bits expanded and bulged up.
Old One Eye is Primarch. Missing Primarch number 2.
Primarch Old One Eye was made when the Emperor accidentally chopped off his penis and put it into the cloning machine.
Okay, so let's take it from a different angle, though. Let's take it from we're writing the story angle. We've got 20 options here. We're filling all these options. What, if anything, do we think is missing as a kind of planet, a kind of background? Do we think any kind of basic trope within development of character is missing?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a trait of the Emperor that isn't shown in one of the Primarchs that actually exists.
Well, what about if that trait is the bad dad guy? So there's just one guy like a wife beater. He's got like a bunch of like, you know, outstanding arrest warrants on him and stuff. He's just the bad dad's part of the Emperor.
Who's living in like the fucking space version of a caravan. He's got like 6 gold chains. Is that what you're
Yeah.
Because we've kind of got everything. Like I can't.
I'd really like to see, and I know that this is something that's really lacking in all 40k stuff, is a water-based guy. I want like a Neptune style space marine.
I mean, we've done it, man.
Well, Kokomo Leacham.
Kokomo Leacham.
I know we've already talked about our guy, you know, whatever his name is.
Aquarian Fistula.
Yeah, that's
Aquarian Fistula, exactly. But I'd like to see an official version of, you know, some kind of water dude. Or something like kind of Neptune style motherfucker.
Yeah.
There's no Mr. Nimbus, is there? Let's be honest. We need a Mr. Nimbus. You're right. There's nothing of the sea. There's nothing
and
of
it's
the
really,
sea.
really
and it's kind of shit
about in 40k. I've like tried to research stuff in the past for sea stuff in 40k for the show and never found a goddamn thing. So yeah,
I've done the same. It's like their suits do up and they're watertight, so they're just sea marines. That's bullshit. Like you'd want some propellers on your feet.
Well, maybe we could get some cool Ash Wasteland stuff. Like maybe they could do a water, stuff that swims.
That'd be fucking great. That would be fucking great. Like the Water Guild. Do you remember the Water Guild models that came out about 6 months ago? Oh, the best fucking model.
Got to be splashing around somehow in some sort of aqua vehicle.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. It's Man-O-War by the back door. Well, I guess we'll never know what happened to these forgotten Primarchs, and that's kind of the way they want it to be, really, isn't it? We'll have to leave that one to your imagination out there. The last part of the show, the Lords of Lore quiz, where I pit Matt and Welshie against each other in a quiz. And this time I'm going to try to catch you out to see who is the most heretical amongst you. I'm going to try to catch you out with a series of quick fire questions. Okay, do you reckon you got it?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay. Matt.
Yeah.
All right. What's 1 + 1?
2.
What do you put in a toaster?
Toast. No! Bread.
What is the best Chaos God? Quickly.
There isn't one.
Welshie.
Yeah.
How old are you?
32.
What's your favourite colour?
Purple.
Ultramarines are good. Do you agree or disagree?
Absolutely disagree.
Heresy. That's a heresy.
Oh no. Been heresy.
All right, Matt, who is the best alien race?
There isn't one.
What's the best kind of psyker?
Dead one.
How many fingers am I holding up?
None.
Well, you're right. I was holding up none, but you couldn't see from under here, so that's an element of some kind of psychic power. And that's a heretical answer, I'm afraid, for getting that right. Welshie, what's your favourite Space Marine chapter?
Crimson Fists.
What's your favourite Chaos Space Marine chapter?
Emperor's Children.
Oh, that's heresy. Oh, no good Chaos Space Marine chapters.
Shit.
All right. Well, at the end of this rather hastily thrown together quiz, I can tell that you're both heretics and you're both going down. There was no winners when it comes to heresy.
I knew Emperor's Children was the right answer.
We'll see you next time. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.